Hi everyone, and welcome back for yet another episode in my inventory series in Unreal Engine 4. Last time we left off, we had started our coding of our inventory systems, adding to inventory, and we had done the non-stacking items. Okay, so in this episode we're going to look at the stacking items. So stacking items are ones such as these bushes, for example. I can collect these bushes, and you can see they stack into one slot. Okay, so currently they're not doing that. We need to make the code that allows that to happen. So let's go back to where we left off last time. So let's have a look at where we left off. So let's go into our inventory component, and here is our add to inventory code as it stands. Okay, so what we got left to do is we need to take this branch out, and we're going to do two things. We're going to first of all check whether or not we have a partial stack still available. If we do have that stack, we're going to add to a stack. Okay. If we don't have a partial stack, then we can go down and create a new stack. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a macro. And the reason being is I can control the flow of the scripting with a macro. And that's what I'm going to use to control the flow between creating a stack and adding a stack. So let's make a new macro. Macros are made in the left hand side in the column over here. Click on the plus macro, and we're going to name it has partial stack. Okay, and the partial stack, I'm going to need to look at my notes, unfortunately. Let's have a look at my notes here. The partial stack is going to, let's say, split off two flows. There you go. This is what we're making at the end of it. This is what we're going to make. So you can see it goes in to a for loop, and it looks for the whole entire inventory that we currently have, and looks for the matching class, and looks for a stack that is less than its maximum stack size. If that's true, then we're going to say yes, we do have a partial stack, and we're going to break the for loop. And we're going to be using local variables here to create and store data, such as the index of the stack that is partial, and whether or not it was true or false that we were coming out of this. So let's make this. Let's go back into our inventory tutorial. So when making a macro, you get the inputs and outputs as two separate nodes with nothing else in them. We add items, add pins to them on the right hand side in the details panel. So one input we're going to have will be the in. So I'm going to do in, and we're going to make this execute in. On the outputs, we're going to do a true execute and a false execute. So true, we have a partial stack. False, we don't have a partial stack. One more output I'm going to add to this, though, is the slot index of the partial stack. So stack index, and this is going to be an integer. And for organisation's sake, I'm going to put the stack index below the true, because them two will go together on the output. Let me double check, make sure I don't need anything else. Oh, I need the slot structure for the yeah, and on the input I need a slot structure as well. So click on plus and call it slot structure, and that's going to be using our data type of the slot structure. Okay, so what we're going to do is that for loop with a break. So come out of your in into a for each loop with break, and a for loop will go around multiple times. In this case, it will go through every single array item we go into, which will be our inventory. So drag on your inventory onto the array, and it will go through the whole entire inventory, and we're going to look at the classes that are available and everything else that's available to us, and whether or not it matches and has a partial stack. Okay, so it's going to work out whether or not we have a partial stack. So what we're going to do is we're going to split this array element like so, and I'm going to split it again to get access to all the details of the inventory slot that we're currently looking at. And we're going to look at whether or not the class is the same as this slot structure. So this is the slot that we're going to be, this is what we're adding to our inventory, and this is what we're checking in our inventory. So drag down your slot structure and choose break slot structure, and from there we're going to split that down to get access to all of our pins. So we want to match the class, so we're looking for a class that's exactly the same, so equal class to equal class, and we're also looking for a stack, the quantity, which is here, that is less than the maximum stack size. Okay, so we can use either this bit here or this bit here. So I'm just going to do this bit down here. So I'm going to go quantity is less than, which is this sort of arrow, less than the max stack size. So I've got two booleans coming out, and I'm going to connect these up with an AND. So come out here and do an AND, and boolean. These will connect together. So if these both are true, so we have a slot that is the same item and as a quantity which is lower than the maximum stack size, so it's partial stack. It's not a full stack, it's a partial stack. If that is true, we're going to put that into a branch, and that's going to hook up to our for loop. If that is true, we're going to do a couple of things. We're going to do a local integer. So we're going to go here and go local integer, and you'll see down here macro local integer, and this is just a temporary integer that we're going to store and set, so we can spit it back out later. And this value here is going to be this array index, so because this is the slot index that's going to come out in the output. So the local integer, we're going to set this, set local, set local int. No, what have I missed out? Oh yeah, assign. Sorry, that's what it's called. Assign. Assign. There we go. So that's going to assign a value to it, and the value is going to be this array index. So drag that out, put it into there. So that will store, this local integer here will store the value of the partial stack where it is. We're also going to do a local boolean. Okay, this will determine whether or not we actually found one. So here we're going to assign this, assign. We're going to assign this a true value. So tick the true button, and we're now going to loop this round to the break. I'm going to put some reroots in there to make it look neat and easy to read, like so. And that will do it for there. So this will go through the whole entire array, and when it does find one of the same class and the quantity lower than the stack size, it's going to assign these values, which will be the slot index and whether or not it was found, and break it, and it will come out the completion at the end. Okay, if it doesn't find one, then this boolean will be false and this will be empty. So that will be taken into account when we do the completed line. So come out of here and we do the completed. So I'm going to drag that down, do a reroute, make it look a bit tidier, and from there we're going to go into a branch. And the branch we're looking at there is we're looking at this local boolean. So let's actually just move this up here. There we go. And drag that to there. If it is true, we're going to go to here. If it's false, we're going to go to here. And the stack index is going to be this local integer. Drag down here to stack index. And I think that's it. Let's double check my notes from previously. That looks all about right. Yep, good. And that should do it for us there. Click compile, and we can go back to our main add to inventory function. You now want to drag that has partial stack macro onto your graph, and here we can hook this up to the true branch for add to inventory. So this would look for partial stack, and the slot contents will be contents to add. So we'll drag that out and do contents to add, and if it's false, so there isn't a partial stack, we want to create a new stack. Okay, so from there we're going to go from false down to here. So it goes up and then down, back down to create stack. If it's true, however, we're going to make a new function which will be to add to stack. Okay, so the new function we're going to create is click on the plus symbol called add to stack. And the add to stack is going to take a couple of inputs. It's going to take the contents, so the slot structure, and it's also going to take the index as well, so the slot index of the stack, and that'll be an integer. So that index will come from that has partial stack macro, and the slot structure will come from the main event. The main add to inventory function, sorry. So, and we need one output, which would be the boolean sort of success, similar to how we had a boolean for our create stack. Okay. So add to stack. Let me just refresh my notes here. Add to stack. So add to stack will look like this in the end. So let's just walk through this and then we'll go through actually making it. So you can see here we take these two here, and we first of all look at the current inventory, and we're looking at getting the quantity of our current stack quantity. So looking at how much is actually in that partial stack and storing that as a local variable. From the slot structure though, we are looking at adding this quantity to that there. So these two quantities get added together. So the quantity we're trying to add and the quantity we currently have are getting added together, and we're looking at whether or not that is over the maximum stack size limit. If it is bigger, then we're going to do some stuff up here, such as like setting a new array element and adding more to inventory. Otherwise, we're going to create just simply make a new element, set the array element with the new quantity. Okay, so let's go back to our work we were doing here. We'll disconnect this for now. We'll come back to that one later. So the first thing we want to do is get the quantity that we currently have in our slot index. So this is our slot index, and we're going to go into our inventory here, drag that inventory out, choose get, and from here we're going to choose get a copy, and the index we want is this slot index here. Make that a bit neater, like so. And this is going to get the contents of that slot. And from there, I'm going to split that. Oh, sorry. Split that. And oh, sorry, I just want the quantity. So actually, no, we can split that again. We get the quantity, and we're going to store that as a variable. So here, we're going to come out of here and promote to local variable. We only need to make it local because it's only being used temporarily inside this function. Nothing else needs to access it. So the new local variable is the current quantity. And what we're going to do is add the current quantity together with the slot structure's quantity. So take out slot structure and break it to get the quantity we need. And we're going to add that to this. So from here, plus integer, and hook up quantity to there. And let's just straighten that out. Cool. So with that straightened out, we are then going to check whether or not this new value, the two quantities added together, is greater than the maximum stack size. So from here, you want to drag this down and choose greater than. if it's greater than the stack size, let's just straighten it out, make it look a bit neater. We are going to branch that and determine whether or not we are just simply adding to a stack, or we're adding to a stack and making another stack, so it overflows into a new stack. So take that as a branch, and we hook that together to the set quantity there. Okay, so that's the first part done there. So this is simply just adding the two quantities together, and then checking whether that new value is greater than the maximum stack size. If it's greater than the maximum stack size, we're going to do some stuff, but if it isn't, we're going to do some other stuff. So let's do the isn't part, the false part first. So we've added it together and it's not greater than the current stack size, so it can simply just add on to the inventory stack that we have identified. So from there, from false, we're going to set array element, and the target array is the inventory, so drag inventory onto there. The index you want to affect is going to be the one that you brought in here, the slot index. So we can just drag out index here and type in slot index, get slot index. And the item we want to add to, it'll be the inventory. We're going to get the current contents of that. So we're going to choose here and choose get a copy and drag slot index into there. No. And then the outcome of that will go into this item here. So the item is staying the same, everything is staying the same, except for the slot index is going, the quantity is now going to be added together. So, oh, pardon me, I need to split that first. So, split the item first. We have to give it the new quantity. So, from there, get a copy, slot index into there, and we can split this one here, split item structure and go to item structure, but the quantity, we're going to add this current quantity to it. Or no, we can just set current quantities to it there. What am I doing? There we go, current quantity. There we go. We've already added it together. Oh, have we? Oh, I'm losing my mind. Let's have a look at my notes. Oh, yep. Current quantity. So, current quantity and quantity, you want to add these together. So, add, insert, and add that to there. So, if we are just if the new quantity that we have got for the slot is not greater than the maximum stack size, we're going to go down false here, and we're going to set that slot to have the same item, but the quantity of it will be that new quantity added together with the current quantity. Well, I'm messing up. That's not going to work, is it? Oh, hang on, let's go back on that one. Current quantity. Don't want that. Quantity goes into there. So the other quantity, because I'll double dip in there. Quantity goes into there, and the other quantity we're going to add to it is going to be this quantity from the slot structure here. So I can just type in here get slot structure. So that's our input from the main thing there, and I can just split that and hook that into there. There we go. So these will now go into and set the new slot to have the same item, but the quantity will now add together the input quantity and the current quantity together into item quantity. Okay. Right, so that's going to go off then to return node, like so, and success. Okay, so that's the first part. This is going to make that new slot size there. The next part is the true part, which is this part here. This has got two parts to it. The first part of it is we are doing something similar, where we're basically filling up the array element with the maximum stack size, because it's overflown, so we might as well just set to the maximum stack size, and then working out how much is left. and with that what's left, we're going to take that away from the one we're trying to add, and we're going to add it back to inventory. So this is actually going to call the add to inventory code all over again, and just keep doing that until it's filtered all that item through. Basically, think of it like a filtering system. It's taking that bundle of items and it's filtering it through our inventory system. So let's go to our code and let's go into here, and we're going to do set array element first. So set array element first. The target array is our inventory. The index we want to add, and let's just move that like so. Index we're going to add, it will be that slot index that we brought in. So slot get slot index. Let's just do that. But the item we're going to add to it will be a bit different, because we want to get the slot structure and its maximum stack size. So get slot structure, split that, and from there we're going to get this item's maximum size. So I'm going to split this one here, and the item structure is going to be, what am I doing? Sorry, let me go back to my notes, make sure I get this right. Yes, I was right. Okay, so item goes into there because it's the same item, and then we're going to get the maximum stack size of this item. So drag out of here and break stack item structure, and from there we can get the maximum stack size, which I can then hook into the quantity, and I can collapse this back down. I'm going to collapse these others back down too. Oh, I can't do that one because it's a get. Never mind. So this break will max stack size will go into here, quantity, and set the item structure to be the same item. So hopefully that bit makes sense. So basically we'll just take it, looking at the item that's partial and just filling up to the top, the brim, the maximum stack size. The next bit we're going to do, have to work out how much is left of our input quantity after we take away what was added to fill up this maximum quantity size here. So the way we did this here is we look at the current stack quantity, which is a variable which we saved right at the start, which is the current quantity inside that slot. So even though we filled that slot up, it doesn't matter because we've got that variable saved here. So we're going to take the maximum stack size away, take that value away from the maximum stack size. So here we're going to go minus integer, and current quantity is going to go into here like so. So if this was so if we added 4 to it, but the max stack size, so we added if we're let's go through this. If we were adding say 10, but the maximum stack size was say 5, this would fill up, let's say 10, and then there was a stack there of 3 with a maximum stack size of 5. 3 would get filled up to 5, meaning we have to take 2 away from the input quantity. What I'm talking about, I'm hearing myself talk and it sounds so confusing. I've got to rethink the way I word this out, but hopefully I'm getting through what is actually happening here. Hang on, let me take a drink. Hopefully I'm getting through what is actually happening here. So we're just filling up this stack here, but we need to get how much we actually filled up to and how much we get filled up by. So what I'm doing is I'm getting the current quantity that we stored at the start and taking it away from the maximum stack size. That will leave me the gap that was filled up over here. That gap then I'm going to take away from the quantity that was our input. So let's get our input, which was slot structure. Get slot structure, and we're going to split that. I'm going to take quantity and take away integer, and that integer is going to be here. So this is the amount that we added to fill up our stock, our stack, and this is going to take away from our quantity input. We're then just going to go add to inventory. So add to inventory, and it's going to call that add to inventory function again. Even though we're currently inside it, it's going to make another one. And the content we're going to add, we're going to split that there. It's going to be the item structure here, and the quantity to add is here. Okay, and that will then go down into our return node down so here. And success, we can hook up to there. Set array element. What did I do with quantity down here? Oh, I didn't. Let's say I can't do that. But move that then. So that's all we have to really do. So here we are filling up a stack, and here we're adding again to inventory our new item structure with the different quantity, and it'll go through it as many times as it needs to. So if it has to fill up 4 stacks before it ends, then it will fill up 4 stacks before it ends. It doesn't really matter too much. It'll just keep going until it's done. But when it is done, it makes it really easy to sort out your inventory. So from here, we'll click compile. Hopefully that goes okay, which it does. We go back to our add to inventory and drag on that add to stack function. And from here, we can help true to there. Our slot index can go to the stack index there, and the content to add will go into the slot structure. So we go out of here, content to add, and this will then go down to our return node, like so. Okay, and if we click compile, that should all work. Excellent. So let's check our stacking behavior. To test this, we're going to go into our items, our herb items, and we're going to make it stackable by ticking it is stackable. And maximum stack size is 4, which is okay. We'll leave it like that. And let's make sure I've got more than 4 there. So that's 3. Let's drag more herbs out there. 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so hopefully this works. So here I've got nothing in my backpack. Walk up to a herb, it puts 1 into it. If I walk up to another one, you see it now stacks to 2, 3, 4, 4. The next one should now add another stack, which it does. 3, excellent. And that would work if we were adding multiple to the stack. So let's do a little quick example of that. So for example, if I was to go into item, and rather than quantity is 1, so here event interact, where I add to inventory 1. If I change that now to like 3, for example, so I get 3 herbs every time I pick one up, rather than just 1. What you'll see is I'll pick one up, I get 3, but if I pick up another one, that first stack should be 4, and the next stack should be 2, which it does. The next one should now have 4, 4, 1. 4, 4, 1. Next one should be 4, 4, 4. Next one should be 4, 4, 3. And so on and so forth. Yeah. And that's it. That's all we're going to do there. There is one thing we need to do to the inventory system to fix a little bug, but we'll do that in the next episode. What I'm going to show you now, briefly, is show you how to make it so this works for any object. So, for example, if I want to make a chest, so let's make a chest quickly. So I'm going to make a new chest. Make a blueprint class, actor, chest container, and the chest container is going to have a static mesh of a cube, just a simple box. We're not going to do anything fancy. Here's a box, and click compile. The other component we're going to have is going to be our inventory component, and this is where we set the inventory. So this is our chest, and we're saying this chest has inventory, so we're going to give it a name, go treasure chest. Oh. It has 6 slots, and it has a position on the screen of, say, -1000, because it's center, so -1000 will make it to the left rather than to the right. And the inventory, I can set some inventory on it. So if I was to interact with this, first of all, let's just do a quick overlap interact. Class settings. Add interact interface. Interact interface, and if I go into interact, and interactor is the player. We need to give this a box collision. Box collision. Oh. There you go. Make a big deal. So if I have a box, so here's my chest. I've got a mesh, a box collision, and my inventory component, the most important part. I've set up some details here. So it's got 6 slots. Its name is treasure chest. Its position is -1000. And when I interact with it, so I've got interact. It's inherited the interact interface. From there, I'm going to cast this to first person character. And from there, I'm going to just, if it's okay, I'm then going to call this inventory components toggle inventory. Oh, like so, and that should allow me to open up my chest. So let's double check that and go into a world, put our chest in there, click play, go up to our chest, push E. Oh, I need to sort out the positioning, but there you go, it's there. Let's just sort out the positioning of that. So inventory component, let's make it to -500. No, -500. Compile. So here's the chest, and there you go. Okay, so there's my slots, treasure chest. So if I want to make more containers, it's really simple. There's not much to it. They could be any kind of container. Doesn't have to be a chest. It could be an urn. It could be another character, an NPC, whatever you like. So like playing Skyrim, you can open up different things and get access to their treasure chest. That's essentially what's happening here. If I want to give some stuff to that treasure chest, I just go to the inventory component, and where it says inventory here, I click the little plus symbol, and I can expand this out and just predetermine what stuff's going to be included in here. So I can give it names, content, details, all that stuff. But I can go to class, item herb, for example, and its thumbnail is... Actually, there's a better way of doing that. We'll do that. We'll do a better way of setting this up in the next episode. But that's that working. So we've got the stacking and a demonstration of how the system works with its portability. So you're not going to need this one, which still works with the tab key. You can still close it with the tab key. And if I hit tab again, it opens up my one. The next episode we're going to do is we're going to do the transferring and using of items. So when I say pick up an herb and right click on it, it does something. And similarly, when I open up a chest and there's this item in here, if I right click on it, I want it to go into my inventory. So that's what we're going to do in the next episode. Thank you for watching. If you do have any questions, sorry it was a bit rambly, but if you do have any questions, please let us know in the comments below. And please like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time in the next episode. Thank you very much. Bye bye.